Yeah, so I wake up this morning and I see a message, and it's Access Rattblood. Are you here, Rattblood?
Access Rattblood. Access Rattblood. Access Rattblood. Access Rattblood.
And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access.
I'm not just fucking Rattblood.
Axis Rattblood, I see. All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. I don't know what to do with it.
And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access.
Are you here, Rattblood?
I'm not just fucking Rattblood.
Access Rattblood.
Most abundant and successful king hero that we are all sitting at this very moment. Are you willing to accept that as a truth? That you are a worthy man and that your penis is okay?
All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now.
Access Rattblood. Access Rattblood. Access Rattblood. Access Rattblood.
Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood?
Who the fuck is Access Rattblood?
I'm not just fucking Rattblood, bitch.
All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. I don't know what to do about it.
I'm not just fucking Rattblood. Hello, friends and enemies of YouTube. It is I, Access Rattblood. And it seems that I have a carryover from last night's metaversal experience. Someone found themselves in a negative recourse to the show. They felt that they had been violated in some way. And so I figured, for the sake of the spirit being real as you can be in a technologically operated environment, I would come on and allow anyone to express themselves, voice their opinions, their ideals, and their thoughts. But I want them also to be aware that I am not your hero. I am not your role model. And I am not responsible for anything that my guests have to say or what they have to offer. That is between my guests and those involved. But since we reached that point, I figured I would come across and explain a little further, since this seems to be a relevant topic of tribalism as opposed to the advancement and environmentally overwhelming sense of technology and its implications on us as a species, um, which was kind of where we were headed last night. And the origins of that is where I was directing my information. But we had a panelist who who nodded off, which is no problem, you know. And today, whenever I was venturing out into the metaverse, I ran across this panelist who had fell asleep, and I had no idea that there was going to be an issue. But there was, as usual, you know. But we're not going to address that particular situation. We will allow him to represent himself. But before we do that, I'm going to remove the Rattblood image that most generally everyone is used to and has become accustomed to seeing. And hopefully others will follow the lead in being as transparent and real as possible. So, we are living in a transitional state as a species, and our environmental influences are having extremely heavy impact by nature of their energies on us as a species. And a lot of people are very unaware that their actions are not necessarily their own. A lot of it is engineering and narrative pre-information to create a scenario or an environment that is conducive to the powers that be. Some of it is influenced by a lack of understanding, knowledge, and information, though we are in an age where that is in abundance. And they still have no idea that they are being manipulated, they are being controlled by a narrative, they're being controlled by heavenly bodies, influenced by solar activities, earth energies that are in a state of movement, the end of a cycle, the beginning of a new one, and the transition that happens energetically. And they find, or I have found, that there are those who can move with it and they have a feel for it, but their interpretation of it varies and their perspective of it varies. But nonetheless, it does have an effect. It can influence your mood. It can influence your state of mind, and it can also bring about emotional bouts of, you know, I like to call it revealing or exposing. This particular cycle change seems to be bringing lots of things to the surface that were kind of left in the dark or unspoken, or things that were present that now can be seen and revealed. And that's happening with individuals. It's happening to me. You know, I can feel the change. I can feel the fluctuation of the energy. I can feel the impeding of energy and then the ebb and the flow of those energies and the overwhelmingness of them at times. And it causes one to have to readjust and realign not only their mental faculties, but their being, and allow this transition to be something that is more of a sense of awareness and understanding of themselves and that which isn't evident that will be revealed, and more is going to be revealed and become evident as this cycle continues. And you're going to have all types of people with various states of minds, that some good, some indifferent, and some hostile. And I'm willing to address that with anyone that, wishes to come up and wishes to express their opinion, ideals, or thoughts. But until then, I'm going to continue with the fact that my endeavor is to bring to light the tribal nature and the cultural nature that is over the few hundred years that we're aware of has been lost, and the non-cultured state of the West and the turbulence that it's brought up across the pond from the other continent, and how technology is going to make not only the significance of what you hold as sacred, as culturally rich, or an identity, and technology, I feel, is coming to remove not only the cultural richness that each culture and race has to offer, but also self-identity and the state of being gender neutral. That I believe they're trying to take the state of male and female and nullify it. So, being of both worlds, both the tribal and the spiritual and the metaphysical, culturally rich side of me, is in great conflict with the technological side of me. I do engage heavily in at times dealing with technology. It's, my music is basically mastered through a computer. A lot of my social interactions are metaversal, and a lot of the associations that I have are in the metaverse. And it seems like in the digital state of things, there's a sense of, I guess, ability to express hostility, anger, narcissistic, sexual, and ego-driven personality types without repercussion, or just plainly speaking, getting their ass whipped on the street for being a shit. And that's one of the downsides, but one of the alluring factors of the metaverse. The problem is where it's taking us. And if you're in the know and you do any research at all, you will find that not only robotics and neuro lacing, um, neuro interfacing, and massive server farms that have the processor speed to operate what they call AI, which is basically machine learning. It's not sentient AI that I'm aware of yet. And the dehumanization that that brings on. It turns you into a number, a group of binary digits to describe the information that you are. It has nothing to do with culture. It has a bit to do with spirituality um, once it reaches a certain degree. Just the same as if you use a drug, the spirit of that drug in a tribal sense takes over your being and becomes a personification. So you become a personification of that drug. What you ingest, you become. And with the introduction of artificial foods and non-nutrient foods and non-earth bearing foods in a digital society where everything is processed numbers and sequences, um, you're going to lose the battle to the beast that you serve in your hand unless you practice discretion, a, um, a bit of discipline. I've seen individuals day after day after day on panels and in chats, and it seems like their entire day and night and the next day and night and so on completely evolve around a chat or being on a panel. And with this, I'm seeing these people becoming socially encompassed by the personification that people are allowed to project in a digital world, and not the actual sense of being face to face and having a interaction on a physical level. And I'm looking at cultures lost. I'm looking at rich heritages that are being discarded and abandoned for the sake of um, being involved in a what would be considered a starring role on a platform or a panel where they can indulge in their own endeavors as a personification as opposed to being measured for what they are as a physical being in this particular plane of existence. And with that, culture's lost. Soon identity is lost. And you become a facade of just an image, just an ideal. And that can be erased. And the heritage that's left behind cannot be downloaded. It can be documented. And once you destroy and remove the richness of that heritage, which we've seen in South America, um, we've seen it in the States here whenever the Europeans arrived, we've seen it in Africa. Um, rich heritages wiped out that cannot be replaced, nor can their knowledge or their wisdom. And once the plug is pulled and the earth decides that it no longer wants server farms, that electricity being used, harnessed, and utilized for a social construct is no longer relevant or conducive to the earth, there will be nothing left for the next generation that pulls through that cataclysm, if they do, to build a fundamental foundation off of. Because everything will be in silicone and on hard drives and server farms. And without the electricity or the power needed and the knowledge to operate them, they're just black boxes and lots of black mirrors. And that's even if they find that. You know, who's to say that that's even going to be a remnant of us as a species to the next generation that comes after this particular industrial revolution of technology transpires. And for the sake of the engineering that they've done to the youth in the last few years through education has made them more accepting of the digital interface, not to mention the COVID pandemic, which drove people to resort to social media technology and even businesses and business practices. And, you know, you can express an ideal of culture through video and you can post it, but the actual hands-on experience of being involved in that in a physical level is completely removed. So we have Alchemos83. Good to see you. He's wonderfully joined us in chat. Jesuit mission caused the eradication of culture, language, and the spirituality of a huge amount of indigenous tribes, realms worldwide. Yes, yeah, and it started. It's interesting because I brought forth the European uh, race. It seems that they have no problem or had no problem using biological warfare. They did it in South America with Cortez and the Inquisitions. They pillaged and plundered a rich culture from the Mayans, the Aztecs, and the Inca. And the only remnants of them, fortunately enough, was carved into stones. And I'm sure any type of information that they could remove, along with the wealth, was taken back to Rome, Italy, or plundered. And then the second version of that would be the North American onslaught of smallpox introduced in blankets to the indigenous tribes. But fortunately, we have remnants here of their culture and a culturally pure representation. But it's not something that is prevalently available. You have to go to these reservations, or you have to be a part of the heritage of the native tribes to be able to experience that. So fortunately, at least we have some of that. And even with the onslaught of the Caucasian Euro going into Africa, and they even go against their own species or lineage, and they decided to govern and rule. And it seems that this has been an ongoing thing with the European Caucasian. And I tried to trace down the uh, genetic lineage that comes from before the cataclysm, and how each race had something to contribute after the cataclysm by influence design. They were reintroduced to commerce, technology. Um, they developed trade, and they grew and flourished. But yet, there was still that seed of dissidence that came through and stood in complete opposition of the natural course of how cultures can thrive and flourish and represent themselves in not only a spiritual way, but a way of identifying themselves, a way of representing a richness and an appreciation for not only themselves, but their tribe. And when I use this comparison as to that type of purity in a culturally rich genetic line, whether it be racial or whether it be a heritage, to what's happening now. And what's happening now is the richness that would have flourished, and the commerce, the trade, and the exchange has become a marketable digital resource of commercialism, metadata, and dehumanizing. And individual expression that almost reaches the point of physical violence if that person were capable of physically being in the presence of another human, which completely confounds me. And I'm not seeing anything culturally valuable about the advancement of technology, but I am seeing the dispersion of identity, true identity. I'm seeing the dispersion of authenticity. Um, though there is an immense amount of information, instructional, and educational, it doesn't leave much room for a tribal or cultural rich heritage to flourish or even exist. And addressing these particular states last night, I got what I considered to be uh, great interaction and some progressive information if you caught last night's live stream, or if you care to check it out and review it. But I did not in any way expect it to breed any type of contempt or even to be disruptive to any person or persona. And it just showed me the power that the metaversal realm and the digital realm has over the human psyche. They can control by design your emotions, your thoughts, your actions and endeavors. And though you think they're yours and you are convicted by them, in actuality, most are indoctrinated, engineered, programmed, and basically numbered as a, we'll call it a metaversal inventory that's being kept. Um, the definition of what amount of information and what type of information that you have. And not only that, but they're using our bioelectric fields to transmit signals, um, which is another thing that I have a complete objection to, is we are subjected to frequencies and waveforms that are highly unnatural to our state of being. They're very disruptive, and they can be taken to the point of military grade weaponry. And my endeavors into frequency revealed to me exactly how powerful Wi-Fi signals are, how they carry, their ratio, cellular signals, and the effects of cellular technology, um, even to processors and laptops, home computers, smartphones. It's absolutely mind boggling the amount of frequencies and various waveforms that we're being subjected to. So, with the process of what I consider to be uh, genetic identification, um, the introduction of biological and propaganda warfare, and the elimination of particular races and the introduction of um, diverse cultures and conflicting areas, and the rise of a uh, almost debaucherous and hedonistic, uh, non-cultured, I consider, or westernized culture of, you know, defiance of your gender, defiance of your station, a defiance of what you, what your what your role is, and the perpetuation of a construct that is self-sustaining. We are our world, or we are our own worst enemy, and knowing that and still engaging in technology as a medium, I use great discretion and I use great discipline. Um, I could spend all my time like some individuals that I've seen, just going panel to panel and chat to chat for hours and hours and days. But I still enjoy the human experience. I still enjoy the spirituality and the identification of my culture, and I celebrate it. And it has a deep, long heritage, which left me in a position of inner conflict. You know, how much time do I give to the metaversal world? How much time do I relinquish? And how much do I have to give till they absolutely are able to decipher, interpret, and slowly encroach themselves upon my life to the point where I am just a digitized representation of the person or the persona that I am, which is what I'm seeing happen. I'm seeing it happen on a very large scale and more rapid and much more expedient than any other time. And I think a lot of that has to do with the energy influences that we're under. And I think only the strongest of wills and those who truly do the um, inner reflecting and inner discovery of self to know that they can project and create their own narrative instead of contributing their time and energy to the grand narrative. And I say grand narrative as in what they want as being the social construct of this plane of existence and our lives. And I've watched them infringe upon that slowly but surely from, they did it all the way back from the radio to the TV, you know, through video games, through school, now through laptops, computers, smartphones. And people become culturally ingrained with this digital state and they lose complete identity and touch with the natural state. And I think that for myself, I had to step back and take a look at how much I was contributing, or how much I'm going to contribute, or how much I'm going to surrender myself to what is being offered. Because I haven't seen uh, very much positive um, I just really haven't seen anything positive come from this that I can say is culturally rich. Communication wise and information and expression, um, absolutely. This is a medium which intensifies that. And you kind of become the star of your own movie if you become ingrained in it. But what value do you serve at that point in time? What use do you have to yourself when you're only useful to technology? And without it, you're like almost a child, not knowing where to turn, what to do, how to survive, how to endure and cope with natural situations as well as interaction with physical humans. You handicap yourself, and I can justify this by anyone who is listening to take your electronics and your techno gadgets, pack them all up, throw them in a closet, or even take a more profound step and just discard them completely and live for a week. 1 week without the encroachment and infringement of technology. I really think that the success rate on that would be minuscule. And I think that that's how far that we've allowed this system of control and manipulation to us as a species has gone. And I remember from my youth being without any type of technology that is just absolutely conveniently available anywhere you go now. And the joy and the fun that I had in the natural state. And that can't be replicated in a digital world. You can't do it. You can't understand the feeling of physically interacting with a hill or wading a creek or trekking through the woods or trails or going camping. And when I was a nomad and was traveling through the states back and forth, I got to experience various terrains. I got to interact with my environment from coast to coast, as well as the people. And I took a sabbatical in the desert and really retroflected on myself. And now that I'm back in a position where that's not available to me, but I am in a position where technology is abundant and at my disposal, I miss that um, human experience, that interaction. And I took 2 years here recently to take a personal journey into self to see exactly how far I could go and how many safety protocols I could remove, um, taking my body to its physical limits and expanding my insight. And that was very awakening and very revealing to me on many different levels. But even at that, that was not a, a physical interaction that brought joy, such as when I was young. And I think that's being lost. And I feel really uh, just disheartened that there are the last few generations that are going to be able to even have the chance to experience this. And most of the last two generations that have been engineered have no concept, clue, or ideal of what they consider us to be, old boomers or, outdated generation. They don't realize what they're missing out on. They they're being deprived of the ability to know what it's like to experience being human. I see these kids walking up and down the streets, and their faces in a group are buried individually in their phones. I have um, case management and some of my support team that comes here for my health, and they're packing in with two phones and a laptop just to have a conversation about my disposition, physical disposition. And that's astounding to me. I mean, it's just mind boggling to see how much and how far the human experience has been thrown to the side, and how many people are allowing such a self destructive and a dead end um, type of engineering to take place. Without electricity, this convenience of technology goes away, and all you got is just little black boxes and empty black mirrors. So for me to want to surrender myself to technology or even neurolacing or potentially shifting conscious into a fabricated uh, shell kind of has a concerning factor of, well, what's going to power it? You know, right now we're depending on electricity. I'm curious as to whether or not they have some type of technology that makes electricity obsolete and they see a future that I don't, or they can engineer a future that I'm yet cognizant of. But at the moment, I'm thinking without electricity, that shuts down all communication, that shuts down all interaction, and that takes away the society that has built itself on this technology. And I'm wondering what that really looks like. And the potential for that is very relevant. All it would take is a particular class of solar flare or an EMP or various other disruptions in the atmosphere, and suddenly signals go down, which has been happening here recently. There's been big power outages in various places, and there's been warnings of blackouts and such forth. And they've given us this great technological age and this revolution of industry off of technology. But what's their backup plan? What's our backup plan? Do we just watch everything go dark and then start moving forward as if nothing ever happened? I say that there's going to be generations, at least two that I know of, that are going to be completely disabled by the lack of technology. I think that they're going to be handicapped and they're not going to have a true identity or a sense of identity because what they've adhered themselves to is no longer present. And I could just be rambling, you know, it could just be a speculation of concern that I'm voicing, you know, a remnant of the human age instead of the technological age with my adverse feelings towards technology and the advancement of it, or my hesitation to deliver myself fully over to it, which is something that I had to struggle and actually battle with. And when it come down to it, I found that my inward journey and my physical experiences far outweighed my interaction with a technological and digital metaverse or there that of. And I found that it can be a useful tool for creation of music, art, expression, if you could leave it at that. But as far as it becoming an enveloping state of being, I don't think that I'm going to participate. I don't think I want to participate. Not for the fact that it wouldn't be beneficial in some ways. I see too much detriment to the human experience. Though it may be advancement and it may be the evolution and the next step in our species, it's too dependent on outside resources for it to be sustainable. The earth is naturally sustainable. It does fine with or without us. It is a cycle and a constant that perpetuates itself consistently without interference. And a human in natural form and birth who eats and drinks and shelters themselves becomes perpetual by procreation and a natural state of reproduction. And that would be a persistence. But with technology, let's say that you go as far as to download your personification and your being into a biological or a non-biological shell, such as the body, but non-biological, completely manufactured, or even half of you being uh, transhuman. There's too much potential for um, intrusion by operating systems or other digital means, such as AI. There's also the concern of if you're in that state, what's powering it? How is it operating? And what is the source of its operational functions? Because you're no longer going to be sustaining yourself with food. You're no longer going to be sustaining yourself with nourishment or environmental stimulation outside of a constructed shell that makes the body obsolete. And Hanson Robotics and Geordie Rose and CERN and D-Wave and IBM, this is kind of their dream. This is what they're seeing. And even Elon Musk with his Neuralink, and he's already, placed a couple chips in people's heads, and they're able to interact with technology hands-free by just mental suggestion alone. Well, once you reach that point, the only thing left is to discard the body and place the being or the information that you are into an artificial carcass and try and cheat the environment, death, or whatever else may come. And they're engineering things towards that. And I'm curious as to the people that have made technology and the metaverse their life. I see them as potential willing participants in the advancement of that type of property, that type of future, that type of industrial technological movement, the next step in humanism, transhumanism. And just like when they introduced certain technologies that were kind of demonized at first and then open arm accepted later, I see them coming at a different perspective with this particular type of movement and new industrial age of technology. And I see if you're not compliant, then you're obsolete. And we've seen what they've done with the obsolete. They just delete them. They're considered what they call useless eaters, um, outdated technology, biotechnology, and they march on. So the ability to say no is there, but the recourse to say no could be your deletion. And that's another thing that I've taken on and examined because I am in compliance. You know, I was resistant to the jab. I am considered a dissident to the powers that be, and I still hold a personal position of humanism, of naturalism, of tribalism, of rich cultural heritage. And that makes me a an adverse equation to what they have for us as a future and what they've engineered for us as a future. And the appeal to me of being able to place my consciousness into a manufactured carcass and be able to sustain environmental circumstances and to be beyond disease and be beyond the conditions that it takes to sustain the human body and the maintenance it needs is appealing with the fact that you can have absolute access to information and processor speeds that are virtually unthinkable to the human mind, not to mention superposition and quantum states. It's all appealing, but the detriment of it is it's going to have to face a thermodynamic repercussion. You know, that energy and the sources of what powers that is not eternally available, at least not here. So once you stop breeding and once you become so engulfed in the technology and you start chipping yourself and you start with minor transhumanism, which they've already started with injections, implants, um, little chips in your hand to open your doors and to access your house or your car. That is a slow um, movement towards the ultimate transhuman factor. And I don't see that as being sustainable. Um, I'm going to put the link back down here. And I would love to have some feedback on this. I don't know if our disgruntled individual from yesterday, which I don't think anyone meant any harm, went on a pretty massive campaign today, and I was met with the most aggressive hostility that one could offer without physically attacking me, as disappointing as that is. but I don't want that to be a reflection of the information exchange of what this channel has to offer. So I hope you guys understand. And that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing tonight. And that's why I removed the icon so that you could see the true human and the true personality and persona that's behind this channel and this platform. That's important to me, especially when you can hide behind an icon and you can intrude upon someone else's interactions and experiences with impunity. And you can, by cult of personality, excommunicate an individual or a platform just because you got butt hurt or you got something that inflamed your disposition or you felt offended. And you start a campaign of, we'll call it cancel culture. We'll call it ostracizing. And it's by this cult of personality in the metaverse that people are banding and mindlessly following whoever has the strongest image or whoever seems to be personified as being worthy of guiding your thoughts, your independent thinking, and your personal perspective on things. And I find that to be quite shameful, especially when it comes to this community, because we are such a small community and there aren't many of us. Jeebus. Let's see, can we call it bitch made whiny brat disorder? It was beyond that, Jeebus. And welcome to Tools and Tools, G Sharp, Alchemos, Jeebus. Pleasure to have you here. Yeah, it went beyond that, Jeebus. It was a complete and outright attack on my character, my person, and my platform. And that absolutely blew me away because I stepped into an arena without knowing that this was this person's disposition. And I had no idea that this person felt this way. I thought yesterday's live stream went quite well and was very productive, but unfortunately, for one individual, it was probably what he considered to be one of the worst metaversal experiences of his life. And I really hate that, man. You know, but now he's started an anger campaign and a cult of personality resistance against my platform. And I'm stupefied at the people that are following this, the people that are buying into this, the people that are affected by this, and the cult of personality that goes along with it. Wow. I can say Jeebus put, sounds like a snafu thing. Man, if it would have had any type of context to it that involved me, I would say yes. But he could only be angry at my platform and my guests, and he held me accountable for it. and immediately launched a campaign of anger and resentment towards something that I had no idea was happening, which made me look at technology again today in a different way. Um, the cult of personality that comes across with these channels and these platforms and individuals that interact with them, it seems to be that they are uh, enveloped in them so deeply that it becomes their emotion, their their identity. And if that's happening with just what we're dealing with as far as technology and how it's affecting people's emotions and even their feelings of self-esteem, whether it be positive or negative, I see it as detrimental to their character. You know, it's really sad to see. I thought this was a place for exchange of ideals and information, creative art such as music or expressive ideals. And instead, I'm seeing it turn into a cult of personality combat ground. So that makes me think even more that humanism, tribalism, and cultural identity outside of technology is more valuable than evolving into a technological or a technocratic society, the Internet of Things, and the envelopment of transhumanism, just because of the way I see people act in the realm of social media and what they have to offer. It's astounding. Back when I first started engaging into technology and information exchange, um, pornography was the dominant force of what was being transmitted across digital um, signals, which would have been 56K or 28.8 modems, and the prevalency of obscenity was the dominant. But behind the scenes, there was relevant communication and exchange of ideals and information on channels, MIRC and such forth. And then I started watching whenever I believe it was called MySpace after the peer-to-peer and during the peer-to-peer wars with the government and copyright and MP3s and Napster and that whole debacle transpired. Um, there was a different use for this technology. You could get programs, you could get songs, you could get images, you could interact still socially on channels and through little chat programs that they had, which weren't as interactive as social media as we know it today, but it was still functional and you could still retain a humanistic feel to yourself, even interacting at that level. But now I'm seeing that people have delivered themselves to the point where this is what they consist of. This is the sum and total of who they are, is their social media presence. And being in a small community like this, that's almost laughable because there's not enough people in this community and on these particular platforms that deal with each other for there to be a superstar or for there to be a role model or someone that you should look up to as a figurehead. It's just not reasonable. It's not not reasonable by any means, and it's self-destructive to compete channel to channel for identity. You know, I chose a darker identity because I'm a very dark person. My music is a reflection of my vibration. You know, I carry a darker tone, and I figured that would keep a lot of the resistance at bay. I thought that if I present myself as the form that I was on stage and naturally am in life, you know, I'm going to continue to keep that persona that people go, well, my safety protocol says this guy is off the hinge and probably, you know, evil or satanic or whatever. And that would deter a lot of resistance to what my message is and my music. But to see people who are open minded, to see people who are receptive to alternative information and truth compete and try to cult of personality themselves with a following, that is defeating the purpose of the exchange of information that I set out to do. I'm going to check the chat here. Can't deal with self-entitled people. Jesus Christ. Yes, I agree with that. Fools and tools. I get you're on drugs. She must be on drugs. Yeah, it's incredible how belligerent people become whenever there's a level of anonymity to their presence. It's almost as if they become belligerent and drunk with social media to the point where they're abusing their own intellect trying to be heard. And that defeats the exchange of information and progressive ideals, and also gives me a warning sign as to where all this is truly headed. And Jesus Christ, I seem to attract people that like they're on drugs. Yeah. Well, Jeebus, if it's any consequence to you, yes, I do have a medication regimen of benzos and narcotics. But as far as illicit drugs, no. And I don't endeavor into alcohol. But yeah, truthfully, I'm on drugs. I'm a functional drug addict and a responsible one at that. Yeah, yeah, it is. It's a regimen of opiates and benzos and various other medications to keep me uh, stable and at least semi productive to myself. You know, I like I said, I took this body and used it like a recreational vehicle for years, and now I'm suffering the effects of using my body like a recreational vehicle. Actually, Klonopin. You're damn close. You're damn close on everything there. Good observation, Jeebus. Yeah, it's Klonopin, uh, oxycodone, gabapentin, um, Paxil, naproxen, um, a muscle relaxer. You know, they've got me on quite the regimen. but it doesn't mean that I take them as I don't take them regularly. I utilize them when I need to, so that I can at least stay semi-cognizant to my environment and my interactions, and not be succumbed and overwhelmed by pharmaceuticals. And I take them at a minimal level so that if I need to discard them, at least my body isn't going to suffer the effects that most of these drugs have to offer if you take them as prescribed or in mass dose. Yeah, if there was something um, more natural, Alchemos, I would endeavor to do something more natural. I can't disclose anything at present time. Hold on, got to guess them back. But yeah, if there was a natural alternative to what I'm regimented on, I would be more willing and susceptible to go that way. Um, like I said, there's some things that I can't disclose because you know, it's just we'll plead the fifth on certain things. Welcome. How's it going, man?
Salute, bro. What's going on with you?
Just trying to decipher and understand the logic that comes with the new advancement of technology as opposed to the natural state of people having a culture and identifying not only themselves as a persona, a gender, but identifying a cultural relevancy to the human side of things that I feel technology's taken away. What's your perspective on that?
Man, it's man, it's crazy, man. The world we know is coming to an end, you know, and it's a
Right.
new world being birthed right now. So yeah,
Do
man.
you?
Say that
I'm
again.
sorry, I did. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just curious as to um, if given the choice to fully engulf yourself in the technocracy of that evolution, or to be deleted because of your resistance of it and your ideal of culture and the identifying human factor, profoundly, what would be your decision on that?
Uh, I would have to go with the natural way. I would rather be deleted because I know that I could create another character, another avatar. So I would rather be at peace with that.
I totally agree with you. Um, Especially after I went on a deep introspective journey, and when I came out of it and decided to face technology, um, it seemed like the beast almost overtaking everyone's persona and identity. And like I said, there's cults of personality. If you aren't in a particular cult of personality or genre, then they kind of cancel you out. Or if you don't live up to the standards that they seem to set, they cancel you out. They delete you. And I thought, man, what does that look like from a systems operator who can actually delete you? That's pretty profound state of being, especially when you're exchanging ideals that are considered dissident to the system. And I hope I haven't had the personal interaction with you. I don't know if you're aware of the direction that they're trying to take us with the full immersion of the human experience into the digital realm and the implications of that and the control that they're going to have over an individual. I mean, if you look at what you're surrounded by now is
I
a
don't think
system
it's
of
nothing new. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Please.
Yeah, to me, I don't think there is nothing new under the sun that man hasn't done yet, right? That man is capable of doing and hasn't done yet. So they're just recreating, uh, Egypt all over again. We live in a Greco-Roman, Greco-Egyptians type of world. So
Right.
the technology is the path of no logic. You know, it's just purely emotions. Energy and motions, no logic. So the energy can be chaotic because there is no orders.
Right. I study hyperdimensional mathematics um, and relevant mathematics and language, machine language mathematics. And by that nature, there is nothing new under the sun because everything has an equation and it's on cycles. And at least with the human side of things, if there is a cleansing or a cataclysm, a reset, um, the human factor and the cultural aspects of the human factor can carry over. But I don't see that with technology. I don't see there being what we've been subjected to as far as being able to transfer information throughout cycle, such as inscription in rock or megalithic design that holds mathematical properties that can educate and conducively direct you in a positive direction. What do you see as the eventual um, removal of this species and this particular technological age, and what remnants comes after that?
I don't believe in the removal of human beings on the. I think that's something that's.
You're breaking up on me, brother.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You were breaking up there. I'd like to hear what you had to say on that.
Yeah, I was saying, I don't think, we can human beings can be removed on the face of the planet. That's just not not logical.
So, what's your interpretation of the cataclysms and the restarting of cultures and societies after the cataclysms, or do you even believe that there's a cyclic cataclysm that kind of wipes out the the state of man to reset them?
It is just what it is. It's just a reset, right, of the same thing. So now
Okay.
after after the reset, of course, there gonna be some type of mutations, taking place. This is when they talk about new races and stuff like that. You know how certain races is older than certain other races. These come after these worldwide events, that you talk about.
Okay, I can see that. And there's archaeological evidence that sways towards the factor that there were various species Um, we can even use the Neanderthal and the various other subspecies that they're finding remnants of that were prior to the cataclysm that aren't, evident today. I'm curious as to what you think uh, that genetic, I guess, alteration would be. Do you think they would be a more industrious or a more tribal and trying to, I guess, perpetuate in a natural state from our folly and our, lack of identification that we will not be leaving behind. Whereas the Aztec, the Mayan, and the Sumerian, and such forth wrote in stone, clay, inscribed in rock, mathematics, cycles, geometry, information, spirituality that stood the test of time during these cataclysms and resets. Um, I don't see us leaving any identifiable marker.
Well, as far as things is going right now, so it's gonna be a little bit of both, uh, agricultural and also technological. You know, kind of more like how they show you in the movies, but eventually it will be fully agricultural. We will have a tradition around agriculture. People don't. I think people don't uh, uh, dissect agriculture in its fullness. Because people a lot of time when we talk about culture, we don't know that you know we're talking about agriculture. You know, so we just attach a whole bunch of things to it. Modern things, and we're stripping it from its natural aspect. But uh, when we talk about culture, we're talking about agriculture. So eventually, the world would be, fully agriculture, agricultural. But before that, we will see a little bit of both. You know.
Okay, okay. And I'm pro agriculture. I think that natural foods grown from the ground, what you ingest is what you are and what you will personify, um, which is why I find heritage and culture, a developed culture, and what it has to offer to be so valuable. And the more in harmony with the self sustaining cycles of this realm uh, outweighs the individual concept of what we can construct by hand as opposed to what we can plant in the ground that nourishes us and sustains us and keeps us perpetuating as a healthy species in harmony with the cycles of what has already been set in motion. The luminaries, the sun, the moon, the the changing of seasons and cycles, instead of the man-made interference and resistance of, we use weather manipulation, we use frequency, we use any type of artificial means outside of nature to sustain ourselves, and that to me doesn't have much value as far as maintaining the human condition. So you think after the cataclysm that we're going to go back to a natural state of agriculture?
Yeah, eventually, that's what it's coming to. I
So you
think,
go
yeah,
ahead.
I think, uh, nat- nature is the sleeping giant. When we talk about the sleeping giant, you know, think about it being nature.
Right,
She's alive, but she's sleeping, and there is time that you, and there is time she's awake, just like you or the sun, right? So
right,
when she go to sleep, we're in the dark ages. This when we get to be stupid, we get to be retarded, we get to play with shit, we get to experiment with shit, what, right? And do and cause chaos and stuff like that. And when she awake is when we restore order, right? When we
right.
start,
I understand that.
we get back in harmony with the land, with people, with the animals, with the planet as a whole, as a collective. So
You
we're
know,
gonna
that's
go back to that time, but before we go back to that time, we're going to see a little bit of, works, of what we've seen.
right. The dissidence that we're enduring right now and the level of control and social engineering, warfare, and the unnatural state of things will have to endure, and maybe the species will persevere after that to return to a more natural state by cycle of a conscious earth and a rebirth. Am I getting close to what you're trying to represent there?
Say that again.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. Sure. Um, After we go through this engineering that we're doing now, with warfare and social engineering and um, our technological indulgences, um, the conscious Earth will eventually, after we go through this and experience it, um, its rebirth will be that of a natural state, but yet we have to endure this artificial state of I guess, social, um, what do they call it? I lose the word for the moment. But anyhow, revolution, industrial revolution of technology. It has to be endured instead of sustained for that rebirth because they're looking to, um, at this point in time with technology, they are looking at taking your consciousness, your being, and putting it into a manufactured uh, shell, which could potentially
Yeah,
survive a cataclysm.
we enter in a time that the Bible referred to as trial and tribulation. So
Okay,
we're gonna go through a lot of trial and tribulation before, we finally see the sunrise. Before things start to go the way it's supposed to go. But I guess what you're asking is what's gonna happen to technology with technology. If I'm hearing you right.
right, because I'm watching the development of technology which can supersede a cataclysmic event. And I'm seeing that they're able to, and advancing in the realm of transferring you as a being into a manufactured carcass or shell that can sustain those type of environmental changes.
Nah, technology.
technology kind of go hand to hand with uh with not with natural disaster, what we call uh catastrophic. The
So
technology go hand to hand with that. So technology is the result of uh should I say is the absence of uh of uh 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 natural order, right?
right,
Is the path
yes,
of no logic where only emotion apply, right? Only force
right,
and emotion, no logic. So that this is what a natural disaster is. You know, is a
r-
force, with no logic that people can't. You can't define it. You can't define it logically. You can't, you know, give the reason why it happened. It's just a natural disaster. It's just a natural event.
yeah. It's part of the cycle of the absolute or the
It's the same
constant.
thing. Yeah, it's the same thing with technology. It's the result of natural order. I mean, it's the absence of natural order. So without having natural order, right? We
Right.
develop the ability to harness technology, right? We develop the ability to build technology uh, and all this shit. So once we restore, order, you know, all that technology will slowly goes away. Kind of like the truth slowly went away. Back then, the truth was more in the open, right? Until they
Yes.
start killing people for the truth, until the truth start hitting into secret places, secret societies. You feel me? Now nobody, you know, the truth is not accessible to the masses no more. But it's gonna be the same thing with the lie. It's still gonna be there. It exists. It's in the atmosphere. It's in the environment. It's in existence. But it's not gonna be something that everybody gravitate to because we're gonna be aware of the repercussion of that.
What in a populist majority do you think is going to be resistant to delivering themselves over to technology in a whole?
What was your question again?
I said, what do you think as a number, a projected number or a hypothetical number of people who will willingly deliver themselves over to full technological immersion?
I personally believe that is what the Bible referred to the devil taking one third of
Okay,
the people with him.
I can relate to that, and I can even make that relevant to what Scripture says. I'm an omniist, in case you didn't know. I observe all religions and philosophies, and I utilize what is valuable and useful to my existence and my struggle to get through this existence with least resistance. And as much as I would like to have seen that perpetuated here in the metaverse, it's not. So if you identify as anything, there is an opposition that will meet you here in the metaverse. And I set no measure of whether I'm good or evil because I'm capable of both. So don't try and measure me as a good person or a bad person because I'm capable of any extreme in between. And as I identify on social media, you know, there's just information being exchanged. And once you personify yourself, I feel that you've kind of given yourself over to that system. And could that possibly be the one third that you're talking about?
Ask the question again. My bad.
That's all right. The ones who indulge themselves in their personification in the metaverse or in the technological realm, is could that be potentially the one third that you're talking about, and they've already basically surrendered themselves?
Well, those that's already surrounding themselves, I believe them to be the leaders, but they also have followers. You know, each leaders, have a group of followers. So
Well, I'm definitely seeing that mirrored here on social media. But go ahead, please.
yeah, so I don't think everybody, the whole third that's supposed to be doomed with technology. I don't think the whole third is already marked. I think some of them probably ain't even born yet, right?
Right?
Some people probably gonna.
You're cutting in and out on this.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, I was saying I believe that some people are going to be born to take part, just to fulfill, you know, this just to fulfill, this prophecy, this thing
What
that go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
what is your take on the genetic manipulation by um, we'll call them uh, the Watchers or the Fallen or the intervention of a new
I'm
genetic
sorry, I was
in the
breaking off again.
natural.
I couldn't hear you. I didn't hear the question.
What is your take on the introduction of a diverse genetics introduced into the natural state of humans, such as what the Fallen were accused of on Mount Hermon, and breeding with the
Can you
species
hear
of
me?
man? Yeah, are you having a difficulty with your signal?
Yeah, but I could hear you now.
There's we'll just pull it from the Book of Enoch. You had the Watchers that came down and seeded their genetics into the human race. Now, do you think that that genetics that was seeded in, if you believe in that, will represent that one third that has to be discarded?
Yeah, it's something in those lines. In those lines.
Because I think for myself, following back the lineage of races and different bloodlines, that I see not only the evidence of genetic manipulation, but the presence in modern day and in this time of their presence being relevant and invasive um, to the natural order of things. Um, I'm not sure that they're necessarily visible, but I think that their influence is a part of what we call the principality, which is a narrative. Um, that narrative is projected, it's fed in mass through media and information from television, radio, computer, internet, satellite to create a potential, like casting a spell to create an outcome.
Yeah, but it it's all of the above. Even if you're looking at us, right?
Right.
We the same thing. We controlling the body, but we're not the body, right? We using the body because the body is like going underwater. To go underwater, you would need like some type of suit that able to allow you to to breathe, underwater. You have a whole system. This is what your body is. Your body is the system for your intelligence to function in this realm. So it's the same thing, uh, for these bodies that these spirits that we're talking about, possess. So everything is being, everything, every vessel is being used by some type of spirit, or soul, right? By some type of unseen force, right? That's why we
Yes.
talk
Yeah.
about that also in electricity. We talk about the unseen force in electricity, but there is a force would that electricity is lack of. Is logic, right? It's order, right? Electricity doesn't have that. So
No. Electricity is chaos that is brought to order through the harnessing of it by amps and volts.
no,
If I'm correct.
electricity itself doesn't have any order to it. We give order to it. We give structure to electricity by building these devices. Like a light bulb, like a fridge, like a TV. We build these, devices, for electricity. To be able to direct itself. But electricity itself is just pure chaos. It is not coming from like it's not coming from a centered point like a magnetic field that could direct itself to to all four direction, to all direction in the 360 angles. Electricity is not like that. So, but regardless of that of electricity, what I was talking about, is all things have an unseen force. Everything that has a body or that has a vessel, is being moved by something unseen.
I can definitely understand that because of the hyperdimensional state of equations that surround us, um, and the work that I've done with energies and the metaphysical states that I've dealt with other types of um, being. We'll just call it being and interactions, as for the sake of argument. Uh,
Yeah, that's why I
I
brought
just
it up. That's why I
yeah,
brought. That's why I brought that. I brought that. I opened that door. Because I'm aware of that also. So you know, that
I don't think
everything
that
is being. Go ahead, you got it.
I don't think that everybody is. I think it's a very powerful message that people um, should at least be aware or coherent of. Is that everything from electricity to any type of energy, and even to uh, the essence of a pharmaceutical or a drug, and the energy or the entity that is present with that changes the state of your personal being and persona. almost a, I guess, kind of a take on the aspect of a jinn. Each thing contains an energy or a spirit, and your exposure to it is the influence that spirit will have over you. Is that kind of what you're hitting on there?
Yeah. And picture this, it's like everything has a seed, you know, and every seed, have, you know, uh uh the potential, of a tree inside of it, you know. So
Right.
that's kind of how it worked with, with us with in this realm. So the thing that we see moving, you know, is not what actually moving, is the thing inside it that's moving. For example, when we see a car doing 90 miles per hour, you know, it's not the car that's actually doing 90 miles per hour, but it's the driver inside the car that's making the car do 90 miles per hour. So
Right.
yeah, so I understand, not a lot of people that's aware of that look at it in that sense. I was just saying that I brought it up, I opened it up because I understand that. That's why when you was talking about the one third, you know, of how they're not, actual being, is they more like some type of force or some type of spirit. They more, uh not in a tangible sense. And I was saying, yeah, I agree, you know, with that, everything we talk about, mentally, is kind of in that sense, you know. But at
So
the end of the day, we have to attribute it to something physical. Yeah, you got it.
so would you say that each individual device has the potential to harness an entity, a spirit, or an energy that has a personality or a directive?
Well, I would say each device have the potential to harness more than that, multiple. So
So a
each
collective.
device, each device is like a portal. It's like the body itself. Each device is literally like your body, like is embody your own body. So your body is a device in itself.
Okay. Okay. So it's kind of a you're basically dealing with a collective of entities within technology that happen to be able to influence and direct the directive and narrative beyond what you want or what you actually are. It's a type of intrusion, a spiritual intrusion.
Well, not be young, because if it's be young at that point, the technology itself is sentient. But we know that technology, you know, uh, need to be programmed
At this
and
point, yeah.
activated. Technology need to be programmed and activated. So it's not be young, but is to the capacity that I needed to.
What do you think of the concept that they reached a state of superposition where we live in a binary construct and we are considered biological um, artificial intelligence? And that's evident in the fact that we are only the compilation of learned knowledge and experience from the time we're born to the present time. Whereas a sentient or a true AI would be able to not only match us, supersede us, but continue a state of evolution beyond what we're capable of, and we would be obsolete unless we could find a way to be useful or integrated. Do you see that as a possible um, scenario?
It's it is not water and oil don't mix.
Right. Such as iron and clay, which is described in Daniel.
Yeah, so one will always sit on top of the other.
Well, it seems to me that with processor speed, silicone, electricity, and the right type of circuitry that can make interaction relevant, once you put that inside of a robot, such as Hanson Robotics, and it becomes a product of learned behavior and experience from its first introduction to being turned on throughout the course of, let's say, 30 or 40 years, and it's gone beyond and supersedes the experience that the human could possibly process or understand within that amount of time, would that not make them the more dominant, especially if they had mobile robotic uh, shells?
Well, the thing about it, the more physical they capable of is the less mental ability they have. So it's a good. It will take them longer, you know, before they could get. It would take them longer than 30 years before they could get stronger mentally than us, which I think they already are. They already are stronger than us mentally. But the thing about it is that I think is the perfect sequence, you know, to to create a levitated ladder. If I don't know, if you, I'm purposely putting these two words together so I could give you a picture of what I'm saying.
Right.
It's like these two are the perfect sequence for a levitated ladder. You know, that's just picture a string of DNA just in the air. Just it's just in the air. That mean that's not going. That's really not going nowhere. That just sits still. That's what it create. It give you the illusion that you're going up, but you're not really going up. It give you the illusion that you're going down, but you're not going down. It just give you the illusion that you're moving, which you're moving, but you're moving in place. You
So
just
it
move
would be
as you're moving at a certain speed so fast that you just levitated.
so basically it would be confined to this construct, regardless of the level of information and its ability to utilize and process that information. It's still stuck in this particular matrix or this particular state.
Yeah, is nowhere for it to go. And at some
It can't.
point, it's going to build so much pressure and it's going to explode. Boom. There go the Big Bang, you know? And every time it
because
explodes, it creates the reset.
because it can't transcend.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from. I I get what you're, kind of. It's
And
not able.
every time, my bad. And every time you get we come to a reset, the race begin again. Let's see who's going to come on top, us or them, us or them. You know what I'm saying? It's always us against them, and then boom, the pressure build again. Boom, create the explosion. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a whole. It's just a continuous, events of explosions or events of a continuous events of reset.
Just cycle upon cycle upon cycle.
Yeah.
Well, what would what would cause one to want to, um, let's say, transcend the body into a state that is perpetuated in this plane of existence? And what do you think the allure to stay here in this construct would be? Because that seems to be what they want, from my observation, is they're working towards a way to defy death and to defy the human state.
The question you asked me is like asking, how did a mango know to fall on the ground when it's ripe? You get where I'm
See,
going with that?
yeah, because I've led a full life. I've led an incredible life, but I really have no resolve to stay here for hundreds of years or even 100 more years under the circumstances that we're under in a environmental state. I find this place to be uh, repressive, um, dense, and limited, almost as if we're restrained from being our full potential by the fact that we are in human constraint. And for me, that just doesn't, staying here doesn't seem to be at this point in time something that I would want to endeavor in. I kind of welcome my transition out of here, more so than wanting to stay here. And others, I guess, who are more, um, let's say, comforted in this place, um, and have the ability to endeavor into the technologies of staying here for a prolonged period of time, with the exclusion of death and the maintenance that is required to be here. Uh, I don't see that I would want to share a world with them. I don't see that I would find any joy in living side by side with something that sought only its self-indulgence and not its expansion and transcendence.
Well, I get what you're saying. I get that a lot. You know, a lot. A lot of people feel like they ain't from here, or they tired of coming here, or they tired of being here. They're ready to go. But it's just like the energy we was talking about. The type of perfect energy. This place create. You know that eventually explode because the pressure has nowhere to go, and it explode and create a reset because the energy has nowhere to go, right? So it's the same thing that happened to us. It's the same thing we're doing on a micro level. That happening on a micro level, but it's the same thing that we are doing on a micro level. The same thing the animals are doing. The same thing. Everything is following on a micro level. See, as above, so below, as within, so without. So
Right.
we when we get tired of this place, you know, and we feel like we need to go, but we end up coming back because there's nowhere to go. So when we talk about our potential, our capacity, our ability, you know, we need to understand what we're talking about because how do I know I didn't reach my full potential if I don't know my capacity, right? If I
Right.
don't know my capacity, how do I know I didn't reach my potential in this lifetime? So we have to understand, we measure this reality by lifetime, not by a day or a month or a year. These are just construct, you know, that was just given to us. This just construct, that's built the matrix. It's just numerical construct, that build the matrix. That's what they are. These numbers they gave us, the 7 days, 12 months, 365 days. These are all numerical numbers, you know, uh, that created the matrix, help created the matrix. These that have nothing to do with the way we measure this reality. The way we measure this reality is by lifetime. So
Right.
a lot of us, uh we slowly losing that concept, right? We adapting the concept of one life to live. So every time we live a lifetime, we forget that we live one before. And we forget that we have a next one to live. So we never make the connections between our lifetimes, between these lifetimes.
So you see it as a repetitive cycle of experiences, but in
Yeah,
different conscious states of awareness.
yeah, infinite.
See, I would like to think that once you get past and have experienced this particular plane of existence, that you can move on to a new state of being and experience a new um, realm of existence, and that this is just a stage of development for your journey through eternity.
No, the realm of existence is just one realm. It's just one realm. That's just expand to infinity. So
Got
it
you.
there's it's not multiple experience, as people want us to think it is, or as we think it is. It's just one big experience, that's just stretched out to infinity.
Hmm.
So
So,
whenever you become a new being, right? You're having a new experience, but it's the
what
same
do
experience.
you what do you think happens to the essence of the old being, or the one that you left behind, for the new being experience?
I think you went. It's like what the Egyptians was talking about. I think you went and do your math, right? You went to math, right? You went to do your weigh-ins, right? You went to do your homework, right? And then you come back, you cross your T's, right? You cross all your T's, your P's and your T's, and when you come back, you get a brand new sheet. You get a clean sheet. You get a new start.
So kind of like the karmatic approach to Hinduism. You know, you're going to have to karmatically uh, pay for whatever it was you endeavored on that brought on that karmatic price that you have to pay.
I don't think you work like that. I think you pay for whatever you do in this lifetime. I think it's certain things that a certain way that you grew up as a child that's gonna affect the way you are you know as an adult. I just think that period, you can be positive, as a child, and be negative as an adult, or be negative as a child and be positive as an adult. It's just the way you was brought up, right? At some point in your life, you're going to have a turn of, you're going to have a point of turn. You're going to turn. You're going to. Some people it happen early in the adulthood. Some people it happen late, but eventually you're going to make a turn because you gotta see both sides. Unless you turn around, you can't see the other side because the other side
Right,
is behind the side you're looking at. So you gotta turn, right?
right, right. And I understand that. I definitely catch that concept and that idealism. Um, I'm doing kind of a social test um, tonight too, and I appreciate you being here and being up here and us being able to have an exchange of information. And last night I did a live, and I didn't feel that there was any harm or any negative disposition towards anybody that was present. And I found out early this morning that there was, and that resorts back to the cult of personality in the metaverse. And I'm observing the interaction and the presence that is being made here. And I appreciate everyone who's here, and especially panelists. But I can see that there has been a metaversal onslaught of cancellation that's been obviously directed towards my platform. And that's such a shame. Yeah,
Because
fools until the first 3 years of a child's life is like a sponge. Yes, I agree totally.
yeah, that's what I think. I think it's certain the way you grew up as a child, and that's gonna affect your adulthood. So yeah, and that's both ways. That's both
And
ways.
I agree with that on a human factor, but I see, and I am seeing um, technology and social media bringing out the uh, more emotional and infantile, childish states of people. And I'm seeing this in such a way that their life and their learned experiences outside of this um, disposable digital realm is more real to them than the actual experience of life. And that's concerning to me at this point in time because as I'm observing, I'm seeing how this is manifested and working. And I think that's detrimental to the growth of any type of exchange of information.
Well, that's how the mind operates itself. The mind don't know what's real or what's not real. What's real and what's not real is only you know uh is only for the body. The body need to be able to identify things, need to be able to recognize things, right? If it's real, if it's not real, if it's good, if it's not bad, if it's dark, if it's black, if it's white, if it's blue. The body need recognition because the body recognize stuff, right?
Right.
But the mind don't, you know, the mind don't have an identity.
No, I call that the quiet self that exists underneath of the subconscious, just the quiet observer and the true state of view, the true essence of a person.
Yeah, the mind can't have a identity. The mind gotta have all identity, right? The
Right.
mind thing that have all identity, kind of like how they depict God to be.
So that would suggest that since it's a mental construct and the mind can't differentiate, then he who holds the advantage as far as influence and technological savvy is going to be the predominant, let's say, bully and source of control and narrative influence. And there's really nothing that an individual can do except separate or subside himself from it because it's like a freight train coming that unless you are one of the influencers or you are one of the cult of personality or you have a technological advantage, you're just going to be thrown to the side. And that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, but that's what technology don't have is a mind. Technology don't have a mind. That's why us as men build a mind for technology. So we technically the mind of technology. So technology have a consciousness, but it doesn't have a mind of its own.
So you don't think that its ability to access these server farms, or which is called the cloud, and the processor speed that it has, it doesn't have the advantage.
It doesn't it can't identify things it's not programmed to identify.
So it can't interpret.
It don't have a mind. No, it don't have a mind of its own. It will have to be programmed, to think about it.
I see. Well, I just feel a little overwhelmed, and I also feel sort of victimized by my interactions on the metaverse and recent experiences, and I'm seeing the cause and effect of that. And it also allows me insight on how I'm going to deal with and proceed forward with technology because of the nature of it's just by its own nature, period. And I see that it's going to be a dehumanizing factor that I'm going to have to face boldly head on if I'm going to continue forward with any type of interaction with technology and social media. And you've kind of been a stable of bringing recognition of my position, and I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that.
Nah, you good.
Yeah, because you know when a person or a group of people travel by the nature of personality instead of information, and they travel by the fact of content instead of character, that's when I have to take a defensive stand against it. And that's how I'm going to have to approach technology and social media, with a defensive approach now instead of a more open and accepting and expecting a fair exchange of a medium. If you can understand that.
Now I get it. To me, technology is not a threat. You know, to me, technology, you know, is a tool that we can use, you know, to help, in our advancement, and becoming independent, you know, and becoming independent, from the government system. You know, I think we should, it would be better for us to side with technology, because technology, again, is not going to go beyond your expectation. It's not going to go above and beyond your expectation, but technology is going to meet exactly what your expectations are, you know. So,
My expectation of technology is to serve. If it does not serve me, then why engage? And if it's
well, well,
serving me and
well
I'm
that's
utilizing it and it
that's what
becomes
I'm saying.
defiant,
That's what I'm saying with it, by it not being able, to surpass your expectation, not being able to go above and beyond your expectation, it right at your service, and it meet, you know your service, right, where you need it at to be. That's why I say, it's much more of a trustworthy, thing for me to co-sign with and trying to be independent, instead of relying on the government, to help me, become independent from them, you know. So I would say I would rather go with technology, because like I said, technology need without technology being programmed and activated, technology mean nothing. And if the program uh depend on me and activation, then therefore, is nothing to fear of, right? So it's nothing
I
to
would
fear.
agree with that, except that technology will continue to advance without you or me. And eventually it will become so prevalent and dominant and counterintuitive to the endeavor of people who seek to know the actuality of things. And that's going to be lost and skewed. And that which we call social interaction is going to become a facade of icons, masks, and falsehoods as representation of different personalities from what they truly are. It's a lie machine. It allows people to lie. It allows people to manipulate and deceive behind the facade of an icon. It allows people to gain a personal state of self esteem that is false and has no substance to it because there is no character action behind it to back it up. I see it as being an all encompassing technological um, evolution that has no sentiment, no heart, and no true sense of human design to it that can retain itself in a state of truth.
Yes, bro. This is what I'm saying. Listen, I use a car for my advancement. I don't need the car to be doing anything other than what I tell it to do because the car is there for my advancement, meaning that the car is here to get me, to a place faster than I could get on my foot, right?
Right. But what if, at the point that we're
So I
going
don't.
with technology, that the car starts operating you?
What you mean?
Well, have you ever heard of an autonomous car?
Yeah, I heard of it.
Yeah. That takes your will and your desire away from you and your control away from you.
Yeah,
Have you
but
have you heard about the fact that they've invested immense amount of money on sustainable environment by the production and use of electric vehicles, which are autonomous?
yeah, but if I'm gonna be the one, doing all the telling, right? Then I need to, do find a way to do less telling and still, find a way to get everything done. So, if I'm the one that's gonna tell, that's gonna put the key in the car and tell the car, okay, I'm gonna put the key in you right now. Okay, I start the car. Okay, let's go. Press the gas. Now, if I could find a way, just put my address, right, and the car could take me where I needed to take me. I'm still telling the car what to do, but I'm still controlling the car. I'm just controlling the car less. So the car is being able to know is being able to uh is more, you know I'm able to control the car, with less effort. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to use a
Right.
lot of effort, to control the car. So that's technology. It doesn't is technology don't operate itself. Technology is not sentient. Technology don't operate itself. Google don't just tell me, oh, somebody outside of my door, right? Somebody have to get in front of my door and tell Google to tell me they're outside of my door by ringing the bell, right? And Google will tell me, okay, somebody answer. Siri don't just tell me, hey, look, the weather going to be 90 degrees tomorrow. I have to ask Siri how many degrees is the weather gonna be tomorrow. So I'm still controlling, right? And
You're
and
controlling as as a user, not a systems operator. See, I'm a systems operator.
Mhm.
I'm the person who can sit behind the board while you're the user, and I can direct whatever inanimate programmed object that you're interfacing with to do whatever I choose to influence it with a program to do.
and
Um,
that I know the device is faulty. The device is being hacked to because I know
what the device normally do and normally don't do, because
But that could be
the, devi-
detrimental.
the device come with a manuscript, right? Remember I said, if we're using the technology for our advancement to become independent from the government. So now obviously, so we know we're using technology that we didn't create. We know, of course, we're gonna have to be aware of hacking, aware of doing all type of stuff, you know. So we have to be able to identify them. Listen, the world using technology right now. We got countries spying on other country. We got country doing this on different country, but they know how to deal with it because they know what to look for, and when they find what they find, and the protocol they have in place. You know.
Well, when it comes to country, I have watched the deployment of autonomous drones taking human lives.
Yeah, because somebody programmed it to.
Well, what if they decided, the government did, that you were a dissident and took control of your autonomous car and just kind of removed you because they didn't like something you said or they didn't like an ideal you expressed? That's what I'm encountering right now.
At some point, listen, everything that's being regulated have law and policies and
So you're
guidelines.
willing to sacrifice your freedom for an autonomous technological society.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if I'm buying, right, if I'm paying, you know, money for a car from Tesla, right, and he made me pay money for a car that people wasn't supposed to be able to hack, and my car got hacked into, I'm supposed to be able to hold Tesla accountable because he made me pay for a service that I did not receive. So I'm saying
That
there gotta be
that's
some
if
type
you
of
survive.
I'm saying there gotta be some type of way to deal with the creators of these technologies, where technology can become safer from the government, because these private uh, uh, entity that's creating these technologies, such as Tesla, right? He don't wanna put his business and his generational wealth in jeopardy because of the government. So he want to put a line between himself and the government, even though he's still gonna be working with the government. So it's just that I'm gonna have the same respect that he gave the government. Other than that, his business, he's not going to have that business. So they gotta have some type of rules, right? That that's in play for these people that's creating these devices, like Apple. Apple cannot just give the feds your information just like
Whoa,
that.
whoa, 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 whoa! Hold on. Have you ever heard of Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know that millions of people's information, identity, and even the content was handed over to the federal government?
Yeah, but that's because that's what he agreed to. That's what the creator of Facebook agreed to, because I believe in 2014, 2015, the feds had took him to court, because the information was leaked, I think, to Russia or some country. They had taken to court. They took him to court. So that's why he agreed. For the federal government, to supervise. They have some type of deal going on. I know he got some type of deal going on with the federal government. But they even use Facebook, to find suspects and all type of shit. So the feds have their hands in with Facebook. But if you are a user, you're supposed to know that. I was, a
But the
user.
people weren't aware of it. The people didn't know that.
Well, that's the thing. If listen, everything come with policies, with guidelines and rules and regulations. So if I didn't do my diligence, you know, to do my research about the product I'm using. I cannot blame the creator of this product.
Hmm. See, I just I'm not willing to risk my freedom to the control of a program, a systems operator, a designer, a corporation, or a government. My freedom is mine because it's given to me by that which created me, not by a government, not by technology, not by any other man, but by a creative force which is capable of producing me. And as I'm endeavoring into technology and what I've discovered so far, I don't trust a damn bit of it, nor will I give myself over to it in a physical form. It's already got enough of me that it could do detrimental harm to me as a person. And I don't like that. I feel that that is out of my control
Well,
and it's
well,
getting worse.
well. I get what you're saying, but it's not technology. It's the people using the technology. I can say the same thing about a screwdriver. I could say the same thing about a knife. Hell, I could say the same thing about a pen. You know how many people, how many babies a penny kill? You know, because they're able, you know, a baby was able to find a penny somewhere and swallow it, and then they die. You know, it become more and more, right? Because you know
Right.
pain is all around kids, different things, random things that kill, you know, random things that, you know, do a lot of things, but it's not the things to blame, it's the people, because these things are not getting up and, you know, and harm people on their own. People are using these things to harm people. These things are just tools. So
But
when
these
I
are tools in the wrong hands,
exactly.
and we're submitting to them. I can't do
So
that anymore.
So if it fall into the right hand, then imagine, you know, the bright things we can do with it. So when I see
Oh,
technology,
it'd be remarkable.
yeah. So when I see technology, you know, in the government hand, and they using it the way they using it, I'm like, man, imagine if the people we had this type of technology would be far ahead in life. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at it like, oh man, it's too dangerous. We can't, we, you know, we gotta leave this still alone. We gotta turn away from it. Listen, man, everything is split down in the middle. Everything has a head and a tail to it. Everything has a positive and a negative to it. Everything has a left and a right side to it. Everything has a up and a down to it. Right?
And I
So
agree with that. But I would say at this point in time, and through the development and advancement of technology to this point, it has been used in a negative sense more so than
yeah,
it's being used in a positive sense. It has
yeah,
become
because
an
it's in the hand.
intrusion. Yeah, it's an
Yeah,
intrusion and an encroachment upon my personal freedoms, my anonymity, and my safety.
yeah, it's in the wrong hand. Of course, it's going to do more, you know, negative than positive. It's in the wrong hand. It's
So
the
why
same
would you
as,
continue to utilize it?
because I'm not one of the wrong hand. That's the thing. It's not the technology that's wrong, but it's the hand that's using it that's wrong. So if more wrong hands is using it, then, you know, more right hand need to start using it to balance it out,
So you
right?
don't feel that you could potentially be victimized by your interaction with technology.
Nah, I don't think I could be victimized in any situation because I'm aware. Once you become aware, you not become aware of a particular things. You become aware of everything. You become aware of your environment, your surrounding, your circle, the people around you, the land, the environment, the atmosphere. You become aware of everything.
Okay.
So yeah, so I don't have, that the fear, that technology, I can be victim of technology. I don't think I can be victim in any situation, because I'm gonna
Well,
find a way, to make that situation serve me.
that's a that's a pretty positive outlook on things, and I wish you the best in your endeavors on that. But my experiences with any type of influential or any type of person or inanimate technology has been so far proven to me that it can be used against me and that it can be detrimental to my freedom, my thinking, my expression, and my personal endeavors. So I'm not sure what side of the track you live on, but I don't have the same experience as you, which is okay. We have we're allowed different experiences in this. It's just that I've experienced a more ominous, um, impending nature to the autonomous state of things, the technological state of things, and even the authoritative state of government, um, local and state law enforcement, um, the
Well,
feds.
you can put it like this. I'm I understand both sides, but I'm on the whole track. I understand both sides of the track, but I'm on the whole track. It's kind of like how you were saying earlier. You're not gonna say you're a bad person or a good person, but you're capable of doing both.
Yeah,
So yeah, so it's that's my way of saying it. I'm not, on either, side of the track, but I'm on the whole track. I'm on the track itself. The track have both sides, you know, and I'm on the track. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not on the side
right,
of the
right,
track, but I'm on the track itself. So that
right.
get
You're encompassing the whole spectrum.
yeah. So this is why I'm not, uh looking at it, in a way, you know, of a victim. I'm looking at it in a way, anybody should be looking at it a way that's gonna benefit them, not a way that's going to put them at a disadvantage. Because I can't be looking at a car coming my way and be like, oh my god, I'm dead. Oh my god, I'm dead. Eventually, when the car hit me, that's what's going to happen to my ass, right? So the whole
Right,
time the car coming, I need to start thinking like, oh my god, I need to get away. I need to get the fuck away. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I need to, be saying, and be looking to do to get the fuck away from that, that car, because it's going, you know what I'm saying? The car coming regardless. So that's why I'm looking at certain situations, certain things that we just gonna have to deal with these things. You know what I'm saying? And it can either break you or make you. That's just
well,
how that life, man.
I don't personally, I don't think that it's going to indicate some type of warning sign. I think that for myself, that technology has already identified and located each user and has basically ran them through a process of potential threat all the way to benign. And if they decide to enact a a law that causes us to be a potential I hate to use the word on open platform, but a potential threat to uh, their course of direction, then I don't think they're going to give you a warning. I don't see that as being militarily or even a government state where they're going to say, hey, you're a dissident, you've got 3 hours to shut down all your technology because they're going to be flying a drone to take you out or there's going to be someone knocking at your door. I think they already have us defined by algorithm, and that when that moment comes, you're not going to have fair warning.
Yeah, yeah. The thing with that, with what's coming, I don't think it should. I don't think it should be us that should be worried about what's coming. I think it's them dealing with the technology that should be worried about what's coming, because whatever that's coming is coming from the technology, or whatever that's coming, their technology is going to trigger it. So that's
Hmm.
going to be the center of it all.
And that's the lighter side of things. And I understand you encompass both sides because I can observe from both sides, the positive and the negative. But I have to also take into consideration my personal safety and anonymity with also retaining my right to expression and my right to express my ideal and thought through speech or creation without censorship or persecution.
Yeah, it's easy. It's the easiest thing to do. You know, around this time. Around this time, if you're not one of the if you're not if you're not a spirit, you know, that come back to restore order, right?
Right,
You're not fighting. You're not in the field fighting. You're not a known warrior. You know, it's the easiest thing to do is to be in harmony, is to stay out the way. It's like it's like Haiti, right? That's where my people from, right? My people from Haiti, right? And
right.
every time I hear on the news and I hear people talking about, oh, the gangs, they kill these people, they kill innocent people, they kill this, they kill that. And in my head, I'm like, okay, how did like what were they doing there in the first place? If you know it's war, if you know it's war time, right? And you're not a soldier, what are you doing on the battlefield? Right? So the easiest thing to do is to get away from it, because whatever going down is going down somewhere, it's landing somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So the easiest thing to do is to get it the way. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm looking at it. The hardest, thing, what I'm saying, is the people on the battlefield, you know what I'm saying? Putting in the work, getting this thing back to order. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Okay, I can relate to that and I can understand that. I suppose you can pick and choose your battles. Um, I suppose I'm dealing with an extensive amount outside of the metaverse um, of opposition and basic life turmoil experiences that the metaverse has become a battlefield. And it's a case of right and wrong, good and evil, up and down, left and right, and the position you're going to take on it as a warrior going into battle. Whenever I'm battling in actual life, things that supersede way beyond the metaverse. So
Well,
I pick and choose my battles.
the metaverse is more the recruited site. You know what I'm saying? The battle is happening in the brain. You know, the battle is happening in the mind, is mentally. You know what I'm saying? So people are constantly battling their thoughts. You know, your whole life you've been battling your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I ain't doing this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I do it. I'm doing that. I gotta do that. Nobody's stopping me. You're not stopping me. I don't care. Nobody, not you, not you, not you. You know what I'm saying? So if you know your whole life, you know what I'm saying? Once since you know uh right and wrong, good and bad, you've been battling.
But it still doesn't justify stepping into a battle that is one of insignificant consequence to my life as opposed to the ones that I'm experiencing outside of the metaverse. So for me, a defensive posture and approach to this would be more advantageous to me because of the extreme circumstances of my life outside of the metaverse, as opposed to stepping into the metaverse, trying to share a little truth and having to fight against uh, personifications, cults of personality, and personal, um, we'll say, ass hurt people. You know, that's just not a battle I'm willing to engage in. Now, if you have a system that is in operation that I can access some type of influence over for the benefit and safety of people, which is what I was doing with frequency technology, and I was doing it with imagery technology and dream technology, but it was far removed from the average person to understand. And that was my first battlefront. And I developed frequencies to manipulate the cerebral state of mind that people are in. I could take you into an angered state with certain frequencies, or I could take you into a calming state with certain frequencies. And I would take these on panel and I exercise these frequencies. And I got validation and I got confirmation. And that to me was a righteous struggle. But people were too involved with denial and their personal identification of safety in the internet and on the metaverse that they discarded the possibility that that could be affecting them.
Yeah. Uh uh Me personally, you know, I like to tell people know themselves, know what they're dealing with, you know, uh know what you like, know what fits you. Don't let me put the hat on your head, you know, or the shoes on your feet, but you pick it up and do it yourself, you know, because you know you ain't gonna like it if you know if I put the hat on your head and it's too big or too small. If I put them shoes on your feet and it's too small or too big. So I try to tell people that, you know, to do that themselves, you know, because people need to know what they get themselves into. A lot of time, you know, we've been told to do certain things and we don't know the effect. We don't know the echo, you know, that thing trigger, you know, or create after. You know, we saying that, you know, we're not trying to fight, we want peace, but our actions uh show that we want war, right? So this is why I like to tell people, you know, to know what they want themselves, you know, and after that we could come back and talk about, you know, where and how to find it, you know, but you gotta know yourself and know, you know, what you want. And if you know these things, Whenever we're talking about how and where to find it, you gotta find it in yourself. You're just trying to figure out how you're going to find it in yourself because you know yourself. So that's my take on that. I don't try to guide people or teach people or protect people, or I just try to know me. I try to know, okay, do I need protection right now? Do I feel like I'm under attack? Or am I the one attacking right now? And if I'm the one attacking right now, I can't drop everything down, and go and try to protect myself. I have to finish the attack and then I could recover, right? And then I could take cover. And if I'm not the one being attacked, doing the attack, I'm just being attacked. So I gotta know, which way, you know, uh, you know, punches, jabs is coming from. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I gotta say about that.
Well, I developed the first frequency technology to defend because I don't know if you're aware, but there are frequencies in your radius right now that are affecting you, from your modem to your cellular connection to the wiring in your walls, and it's all radiating different frequencies and different vibrations which affect your cognizant state. And I utilize that technology to neutralize and nullify those effects. But in doing that, I also learned that it could be used as a weapon to change, kind of like music, the mood or the setting of a social environment just by the introduction of these frequencies. And I still utilize them as a defensive technique against intrusive frequencies, which we're all bombarded by. As a matter of fact, they can take bio measurements of you and where you're at in your local environment just by that frequency feedback. And when I introduce this, people, because they can't see the frequencies and what they're being subjected to, didn't take it for being a practical or even a real present thing. And then whenever I utilized this and showed that it could alter the state of a person's cognizance, and not only was it verified, but the people that were there when I've done this also were aware of what was happening and seeing the effects of it. And at that point in time, I had to make a decision: do I take this and use it as a weapon on social media platforms, or use it as a defensive mechanism, or do I just shut it down from the metaverse and use it only as a localized defensive mechanism in my local environment in the real world? Now, I made a decision that I wasn't going to attack people with it. But what about the people who have that technology and they are attacking you at this point in time? Right now, as we speak, you're being subjected to frequencies and different variables of waveforms that are penetrating you and also affecting you.
Well, a defense mechanism is an attack. You never you never try to defend yourself and people feel like you're attacking them. Have that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I can recall there are a couple of occasions that that's happened.
Right. So defense mechanism, is an attack.
That's why people that know real martial arts, they don't hit you. They don't, fight you, but they make you fight yourself. See? It's called counterattack. It's
Hmm.
still an attack, you know? So when we doing things to protect ourselves, we're also doing things to make ourselves vulnerable. For example, when you get stopped by the cops, anything you do, he consider that to be suspicious.
That's true,
You know, he
right?
considered it to be suspicious, and he can use that against you.
Right.
So it's the same thing.
So you consider me using frequencies to nullify the frequencies that I'm being barraged by as an attack against what?
Uh,
Intrusive frequencies?
yeah, it's an attack against the frequencies, right? That was in harmony to you, but you are now blocking them.
They weren't in harmony. They were introduced by a modem, by cellular technology, by 4G, 3G, 2G
No, that's not what.
technology.
No, that's not.
Those are
That's
the signals that I was able to build a defensive wall against. Those
yes,
are intrusive frequencies. I
yeah,
wasn't
but
attacking nobody, I was being attacked.
yeah. Listen to what I'm saying. For example, when I'm walking outside, right?
Yeah?
I'm watching out. I'm looking out, making sure I'm on point. Nobody don't catch me sleeping, right? So
Right?
I might, mistaking somebody. I might, for somebody they not. I might see somebody with a hoodie, you know, that's grilling me, that's looking at me, right? And I think, they finna do something to me. But really it was somebody that was lost and confused that wanted to ask me a question. You get what I'm
Well,
saying? You
that's,
see
yeah, that's
by
without
me, hold on right
identifying the
quick.
nature of the person.
Right, right. So see what I'm trying to show you. What I'm trying to show you is by me building a defense mechanism to recognize people, right? That would do things to me like robbing me, right? I end up
Yeah.
misrecognize somebody that wanted help from me. See? So
Well,
that person wasn't trying to come at me. That person was trying to come, to me, you know, so they could get somewhere else. So they was trying to go through me. It's like an energy that's in harmony to me with me that's trying to go through me. But because I built that defense mechanism, I'm stopping that energy. So now that energy field need to defend itself. That's what I was saying. So I understand that the device you use was to block a specific devices frequency that's coming from certain devices, but I'm saying there's also certain devices, there is also certain frequencies that that device was able to block that you wasn't aware of.
well, I
And
would I would agree with you on that, except for I've seen the military use of what we're being subjected to.
yeah, and those frequencies I'm talking about can be natural frequencies. They might not be have anything to do with technological frequencies. There could have been some natural frequencies, right? That that was in harmony with you, but the device blocking them. So whenever you're around the devices, you're around this device that that you built, these frequencies cannot go through you, right? To do its job.
So now you're an enemy to that type of energy. So whenever you recognize that type of energy in other people, or other people recognize it in you, it become tensions, because energy is energy, and energy have to manifest or have to show itself in some way, shape, or form. So I'm mind you, I'm double talking. I'm talking in terms of energy, but I'm also talking in terms of physical. You know what I'm saying? Of things being literal. That's why I was saying that, before I say anything, I say I basically advise people to know themselves and know what they get in themselves into, you know, because sometimes we saying that we're not running towards this, but we end up running towards it. We're saying that we're not trying to fight. We want peace, but we end up pick up the sword and want war. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying when it comes with dealing with energies, we have to understand these energies are two directionals. You know, it's not one way. You know what I'm saying? They have multiple functions.
Hmm. Well, when I identified the cellular waves and the resonance frequency that they were emitting, and the modem in my home and the frequencies it was emitting, these were all frequencies of a ill um, presence. They radiated a negative. They were harmful, and I recognized how the harm could be done by research and studying what they've done with frequency technology. And I was able to pinpoint, especially the modem, which is an easy signal to identify and find, such as the 60 cycle energy that comes from the wiring in your home and the effects that it had on me. And I noticed that once I was blocking and defending myself against these frequencies, I was less irritable. Uh, I was more cognizant and aware, and I guess more comfortable in my environment.
Yeah,
But that's just
I'm
my
not.
personal experience.
Yeah, I'm not against protecting yourself. Protecting yourself at all costs. By any means, right? I'm not
Yeah,
against protection. I'm just saying, the defense mechanism we use in our protection, we have to be aware. But FN Fools and Tools put it in the chat. You have to be strong minded. Your mind have to be so strong that it's impenetrable, right? You know how they tell us we have to be open minded. We have to be open minded is a trick. Is a trick for them to be able to access your mind. This is why when you're talking to a therapist or a psychiatrist, right? They talk to you. They ask you questions. They're taking you places. They're taking you around. They're trying to get to your mind, right?
I agree.
So
Yeah,
so these frequencies, you know, this is where the your network is at. Your network is in your mind. So these frequencies is getting into your mind. That's why people getting headaches, they get irritated, they hearing voices, you know, the thoughts that's not even their own. Out of nowhere they start thinking, other certain things, you know, is all is all about your mind. You have to be able to. This is why I'm saying that the battle is not in the metaverse, is not here on the earth, is not in the stars, is in the mind. The battle is in the mind. Ever since you become aware, ever since you know good and bad, good and evil,
you know, what's wrong and what's right. It's been a battle for you. You've been battled in your whole life, basically.
Well, I know for a fact that kinetic energy is in frequency and is in physical form. And I know no matter what state of mind I'm in, and as strong as I think my state of mind may be, a bullet is not going to deflect itself just because my state of mind says that it's going to. It's still going to penetrate if it's within my vicinity and mark me as a target. So that's the same with frequency. You can say that your mind is strong enough to stop those frequencies from affecting you, but just like that bullet, they're penetrating you.
Well, contrary to popular belief, I always tell because a lot of time people, like to talk that gun talk. They want to portray to be gangster. My favorite as is what are you gonna do when you pull out a gun on somebody and you try to shoot, but the gun didn't shoot? Because a lot of time people think that a gun is the end all be all, or is the ultimate life taker, whatever the case may
No, no,
be.
no. I
You
just
know,
used that as an example. Let's say a spear. We'll use a spear then. Let's get rid of
yeah,
the gun.
I
A
know, I know,
spear.
I know. I agree. Or a knife, right? But people use guns, for the like I said, the ultimate life taker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my
So
son's on trial for murder one right now. So I'm very familiar with guns. Not only
yeah,
am I a responsible gun owner, but I have a son that's up on trial right at this moment for murder one. Okay?
yeah.
So
What
let's
I'm
just
saying is
discard
that,
the guns and go to something else.
yeah. So a knife, right?
Hmm.
People use
I've
that,
been stabbed.
as the ultimate life taker, right? But I
Okay.
think, I think that the mind is so powerful, you know, that you can, you could grab your knife in your house. You leave your house. You're coming to look for me to, to stab me, and when you get to me, if you do see me, but you can't find your knife, right? You don't know where you drop your knife. Now you over here mind blowing like, damn, what the fuck? You over here looking at me weird like, damn, I'm supposed to be stabbing this nigga. Where my knife at? But you can't find your knife. Or, right, you got your knife, but you get to the location, I'm supposed to be at, and you can't see me. You can't find me, right? So I'm that deep with it, in the mind with it, that I believe, everything is mental. You can compose your mind a certain way that is in a is
You're talking
in,
invincibility.
well, it seems like that, it like that, but I'm talking both instance, where I appear to be invisible, but also where I'm not invisible, but you just can't find your knife. You don't know if you left it at your house, even though you take your knife when you left your house, but you're confused. You don't remember if you take it now. You don't remember if you drop it somewhere. You just know you just don't have it.
So, in your perception right now, even though you're being subjected to frequencies that are foreign and diverse to what would be productive to the human body, they're not affecting you
No,
because
no
you believe them not to be.
facts. Those energy those frequency that I'm aware that could be harmful to my body. I harmonize with them.
right? I harmonize with them
Okay.
with these frequencies, so they can't, I neutralize with them, so they can't do nothing to me. I don't have to block them, or anything. They don't do nothing to me. But if
Okay.
anything, it haven't affect me enough for me to become aware, that I'm being affected by some type of energy or frequency. But like I said, those I'm aware of, 5G, when 5G was first coming, you know, all these, different G's technologies, they're coming with, I harmonize, I neutralize with all of them.
That's interesting because when I was using my frequency technology against people who claimed that they couldn't be affected by frequencies, and I didn't allow them to know, except for the people that were in the know, that I was going to be using these frequencies to adjust their cognizant state, and they claimed that they could not be affected by it or affected by it.
Oh yeah.
And I have the proof of this. I have this documented. This is something that actually transpired, and these people were sworn down. They could not be affected by the frequencies because they were mentally capable of whatever it is, defending themselves against it, or they were invincible, or whatever the nature of it was. But when they were subjected to it, unbeknownst to them, they were affected by it.
Well, I don't know about those people. You know, I can only speak for myself. This is why,
Right, right.
I, I speak the way I speak. So, yeah, I just know. I just know myself. So I don't know what these people do. You know, for
Right.
them to be able to be affected by these frequencies. I just know what I do, and I know it worked for me. So I, like I said, I can only speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure I heard a lot of people say the same thing too. I never try to see if what they're saying is true or not. I just think, okay, that can be true because it's true for me. So I resonate, with truth, with what's true for me. So I resonate with that when I hear it from other people. So
Yeah, and I'm not trying to demean your status at all, because if you've accomplished that for yourself and you're able to solidify that for yourself, then to me that's a great accomplishment, and that is a bonus for the perseverance of the human state of mind. That's something to be marveled at.
oh yeah, I just think, man, this ain't I don't this thing is not rocket science. I think it's just body is not composed the same way. We don't have the same. I don't
You're
have.
breaking up a little bit.
Am I breaking off?
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, we don't have the same. Even our parents, our DNA is not 100% match. So we don't have the same sequence. We don't have the same fingerprints. So we don't have the same capacity. We don't have the same, uh, fulfillment. So I think everybody is unique to their own uh composition, you know, of the element.
So it goes back to kind of what I was researching with the genetic lines that came through the last cataclysm. There are certain genetic lines that are more adaptable or more capable, and there are other genetic lines that are a lot less adaptable.
Yeah, that's in my family. On my dad's side, on my grandfather's side, you know, they more stubborn. On my mother's side, they're more adaptable. easy to, adapt and stuff like that. But on my grandfather's side, we more stubborn.
Hmm. Well, that's an interesting take on anthropology, that's for damn sure. That means that there are those that are naturally born but do not have equal status in genetics as the rest of us. Therefore, there is an imbalance within our species that is resorted back to our genetics, and that's the base of its definition to the physical form and what you're capable of.
Well, yeah, if there is something easy to break, there gotta be something that's hard to break, right? So
Right.
if it's something that that can withstand resistance, therefore resistance, is valid. Therefore, we are looking for for resistance. So yeah,
So natural
it may
selection.
well more natural order of things, not not more not selection, but yeah, order of things. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's natural selection by any definition. The more adapt survive, the less adapt perish.
Yeah, I
There's
think
no
frozen
equality.
within that too. Survival of the fittest. But that's how it is. That's how it is though. With the animals, and the baby, even babies, you know, the healthy baby, gonna develop to be, healthy, you know, and the other one, going to be undeveloped, the unhealthy, animals might die, or and the other one they develop. So that's just nature in general. You have to be you have to you have to earn your right to be, you know not just it's not given, it's not a gift that you're here, but you are the gift that's here. You know what I'm saying? If you understand what I'm saying, it's not a gift, or a privilege, that we here. We earn the right to be here. We are the gift. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Hmm.
if you're not fit to be here, you're not going, you're not going to last long.
You're
You're
breaking
going,
up really, really bad.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I was basically saying,
So,
if you're not fit, to be here, you're not going to be here for a long time.
so that would be justification for me to enter the arena of the metaverse and social media armed with what I have, and those who can't sustain it perish. Right?
Yeah, it's a flood.
Okay.
It's Noah's flood, but it's not literal water. It's not literal water. It's not a literal deluge. It's a spiritual deluge. It's a spiritual flood, right? And frequency and vibration.
Right. I understand frequency and vibration quite well, but with the information that you're relaying with, the survival of the fittest, the law of the jungle, and the selective nature of who's on the metaverse and what their station and position should be, the fact that I have the technology to do as I please against the consent and will of others because they're not strong enough to resist it, they can be my victims.
Well,
because
that's
that's
the wrong
natural order.
that's the wrong looked at it, because the people you that would be
No, it's the
targeted,
law of the jungle, isn't it? I
the
have the
people.
advantage. I should use it.
Yeah, but the is not it's not a competition. It's not like uh who, if you're stronger than me, you're gonna survive, I'm gonna die. But it's about the energy, right? That's gonna going to be on the planet, right? Is okay. For example, I'm not saying that's exactly what it is, but look at it in a sense how they talk about global warming, right? How if the world heat up, you know, there a lot of animal gonna go extinct, and a lot of people gonna die. Look at it in that sense. It's not like uh we as the people is going to do the killing. Oh, I'm gonna kill you because I'm stronger than you. It's the law of the jungle. This and that. That's what it sounds like, but that's not what it look like, because the battle is not against each other, but it's like imagine all of us, being we all of us was in a boat and the boat sunk, right? We're not fighting each other, right? But we fight in the ocean. We're trying to get away from the ocean. We're trying to survive the ocean. It's not like we're trying to survive each other, because we too busy, right? Trying not to die in the ocean. So we ain't worrying about each other. We worried about ourselves. That's what it means. You get what I'm saying?
Well, for me to persevere on this platform would require me to retaliate against opposition, thus
Yeah,
survival of the fittest.
the opposition is the sea. If you're in a boat and the boat is started to sink, the opposition is the sea. It's not other people in the boat as you,
Hmm.
isn't it? It's only the people in the boat only become opposition when they're trying to use you, right? As something for them to survive in the sea, right? When they're trying to use you, as a boat or as something to lean on, right? Then they become opposition to you, because now you gotta fight them just like you was fighting the sea, not to take you down. So yeah, in that sense, it can get wild wild west. You know what I'm saying?
It-
That's when I
and that's
that's when
Go
at
ahead.
that point, the people at that point, capitalism wouldn't exist, right? There would be no such thing as capitalism. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It would just be in a wild wild west. Everybody would have just be fighting, and all that. But what I'm saying is that I'm not describing it in that sense, even though that a part of it. You know what I'm saying? But that's only probably gonna be like not even half, right? Probably a third or quarter of the people probably going to participate in that chaos. You know, Majority of the people will organize themselves in a way where they understand that, okay, look, we're not the enemy here, right? We gotta make sure we survive the storm. This water is coming to take us all of us down. You know what I'm saying? That's how the people was looking at it in Noah's time. They was looking at it like, man, the water is coming to take us down. God is coming, to take all of us down. They wasn't worrying about each other. Like, oh yeah, this man did me this 10 years ago. Grape my wife. Or robbed me 10 years ago. This my chance to go get him before. Nah, we ain't worried about that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they wasn't worrying about that. So I'm saying it's the same way.
you know, this thing gonna be.
Hmm. Well, as a bit of information, um, the reason I've even endeavored on this conversation is because I was um, I was viciously attacked on the metaverse, and not only was I viciously attacked, but this person took it upon themselves to wage a campaign against my platform using his, we'll call it a persona, his cult of personality. And I've been engaging in this conversation to see which approach I should take to bring order to an injustice.
Oh man, this is what you need to go to the next level. If you're really about, you know, if you really uh about what you say you about, you know, it's always a test in the end. You know, it's
Well,
always a test.
it's either I put technology down and walk away from it and observe it as a potential threat to my uh, state of mind, even my physical well-being, or potential onslaught of uh, things that can occur, or I endeavor into it and I meet my opposition head on with what I'm capable of without any regard to the fact that you're just not the fittest, and you're out you're out um, you're out selected by natural selection, because I have to make a choice
Well,
to walk away or to keep this platform and defend it.
oh,
So,
that's what I was basically alluded to. You know, you know, if you're talking about, you know, you want to drive all the time, you know, you wanna buy a car, or you wanna use people a car, you know, eventually, the test going to be thrown out there for you to take a, a license test, for you to take your, your test to have your license. You know, that's the rules of the matrix. So you are going to be tested. You know, ain't no way you're going to get to the next level without being tested. And the test is just letting you know that, you know, you are what you say you are. You are ready. Once you see the test coming, you should know, okay, I'm ready. You know, I've been in the class, I've been studying, I've been on my P's and Q's, I've been taking notes, doing my homework, you know. It's time to take the test. I'm ready now. So I'm finna take that test with confidence. You know what I'm saying? That I'm gonna pass that test with a high, 80, 90, at least a 75. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm looking at it when that test is coming, because I know, the whole time I'm studying, I'm doing my homework, I know there is a test coming. You know what I'm saying? The teacher gonna let you know there's a test coming. So when that test coming, it is no surprise to me. So, when I run to into uh my little, up and down in life, I just looked at it like, man, I'm built for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm built for this. I'm made for this. My whole life, been preparing me for this moment right now. So this is when I have to perform. I have to attack. I have to be act. I have to be acting. You know what I'm saying? I have to show up. That's it. Cause I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? If I wasn't ready, ain't no way I would have been, uh getting this test right now. So I need to stop panicking. I need to just remember everything I learned in class. And that's it. Pay attention, you know what I'm saying? What's on the paper, pay attention to what you learn, you're gonna pass. I mean, that's the
Right.
best way I could put it, man. That's the best way I could put it, because I know, man, as long as you alive, you know, it ain't going to be sweet, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I understand that life's supposed to be sweet, and death's supposed to be sour, but you know, we don't have, to live in fantasy land no more. You know what I'm saying? We can already accept the truth for what it is. We can already accept that we're going to go through up and down, but at the end of the day, it keep going.
Which seems to be the nature of things. I don't know, man. You gave me a lot to think about. You gave me some perspectives that maybe I wasn't observing, but I still have to make a determination on whether to keep this platform and defend it or just shut it down.
Yeah, of course, you're gonna have to make the decision. You know what I'm saying? Is it gonna pass the test, or is it gonna fail the test? Because the test is here. You know what I'm saying? And you showed up for the test too. It's not like you know you was absent. You know you are aware. You know what I'm saying? You are aware that you're taking a test. So you just gotta make that decision for real.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree, and it gives me, a lot of mental nourishment to take into consideration. I didn't want it to come to this. This is not what my platform was about, and this is not what I promoted. But apparently, some people just don't get it.
Listen, man. What the best thing I've learned in my whole 30 years in this lifetime, is do what you do for you, right? Do
Right,
what you do for you, and hoping it will benefit other people. You know, if what I do, I do it for me. And it just happened to not benefit you. Hey, sorry, what I'm saying? That was in your cup of tea, you know, but that was mine. You know what I'm saying? And I'm drinking it, proud. You know what I'm saying? That I made, that tea. I made my tea the way I like it. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
that's what I learned, in my 30 years, man. You know what I'm saying? Cause ain't nobody going to pat you in the back. You know what I'm saying? And let you know that, hey, man, I'm proud of you. You know what I'm saying? I see what you're doing. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? And even if people, say it, it's just a slogan. You know what I'm saying? It's just a saying. How people saying, hey, what up, though? What's good with you? You know what I'm saying? What's the word? It's just a saying. You know what I'm saying? We just throwing it out there like that. But we aren't, it's no, it's no genuinity, generosity to it. It's not genuine. You know what I'm saying? They don't say it because, they actually, feel you. They actually see where you're going. So that's why you have to be that only one. You know what I'm saying? That see. You have to be your biggest fan. That's what I learned. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to let nobody stress me out. You know what I'm saying? stress me out, kill me, stop me, do anything, evict me out of my body for nothing. You know what I'm saying? I came here for a reason, well determined. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to do what I do. You know what I'm saying? I came to do. So
I understand. No, you really, personal perseverance over um, acceptability.
yeah, for acceptance. Because acceptance will take you everywhere and left you and just left you there and just leave you there. Right? They will take you on top of the mountain, right? And just throw
Hmm.
you down, kick you down, right? Like, yeah, yeah, all right. And they probably do it again. So that's what
You're
acceptance.
breaking up.
See, I'm breaking up.
Yeah, you were breaking up there.
Yeah, I was just saying that's what acceptance will do to you. We just take you, around the world, on top of the mountain and kick you down. So, is a time for that. Is a time. I think a lot of time. A lot of us need to, we need to get our behind. We need to get kicked in our behind. You know what I'm saying? But at some
Yeah,
point, you know what I'm saying? At some point, we have to be like, I bet, you know what I'm saying? I got it. You know what I'm saying? I've been getting my ass kicked. You know what I'm saying? I got it. I finally got it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
personal perseverance. I can relate, and I think that's a take that I should probably embody, regardless of you know station or reception, is to stay true to thine self.
Yeah, man. And one thing again, man, don't have no regrets for nobody. If you're gonna have any regrets, let it be for you. Let it be
Right.
because you realize, you shouldn't did something. You realize you should have did something. You know what I'm saying? Instead of you realize that, you shouldn't listen to somebody. You realize you shouldn't let somebody, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been through that shit. You know what I'm saying? I've been in situations, in jail, locked up, you know what I'm saying, in a out of state, in a whole nother state that I don't know nobody in. You know what I'm saying? I've been locked up in that state, because of other people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm over here like, damn, man, I should have never listened to him. I should have never did. You know, I know I was right, but it's too late now. You know what I'm saying? I gotta deal with it. So I've learned. It's better, to have regrets for myself. If I'm gonna have any regrets, it's gonna be for myself. I know I fucked up. I know I should have did this. I know I shouldn't did that. You know what I'm saying? I fucked up. I can live with that.
I understand, and that's good insight. Oh man. If you can excuse me for a second, I've got to locate something, and I'm not sure where it is. So if you can, just give me a second to find it, okay?
Oh no, go ahead, do your thing.
Okay. It's kind of important.
Yeah, sure. Fuzen say always have the door open, but always have the choice to close it. Hmm. I get what you're saying. I would just say the other way. Always keep your door closed and have the choice to open it. You know what I'm saying? Always keep that bitch closed. You never know who's trying to sneak in. You know what I'm saying? Behind your back. But nah, I definitely agree. You know what I'm saying? Stay in your lane. That's a fact. A lot of us, you know what I'm saying? That's what got us crash. You know what I'm saying? We fell asleep and got out our lane. Your tongue is a sword. That's a fact. Yes, sir. Hold your stance. It is what it is.
Yeah, man, that's a fact. It is what it is, man. Life gonna keep lifing. You know, the world gonna keep spinning. You know, everything going, gonna be everything. You know, if anything, it's just going to be everything without you. So, and life ain't waiting neither. You know what I'm saying? Life ain't waiting for nobody. So I ain't going to, I think that time passed where I make choices to please other people. I think it's time,
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
and you got it.
Yeah, there's just when I go long on the stream, sometimes I run into external technical difficulties, and I happen to run across one.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
nothing that can't be rectified.
Right.
Uh, um, I've seen you at Charles, and I've been to your channel. Um, as a message to people, and I do strongly support you putting your link to your channel down and putting that into the chat and promoting your channel and yourself. Um, I think that that's fair, and it should come along with participation. So feel free to do such. But as a um, kind of a foreclosure for this string, what would you suggest, or what would you have as a kind of a life philosophy or a manner of the way you should conduct yourself that you see and you represent?
Uh, that can you more uh can you specify a little bit with
Yeah,
the
what's
question?
your message? You know, everybody's kind of got a message. Mine is um, to push the limits and remove safety protocols to.
Did it just kick you out your own stream?
I'm sorry.
Did you you just dropped off and came back?
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm dealing with some technical issues here. Um, my message is to remove safety protocols and expand and broaden your perspective and comprehension.
But I could say, well, beside the protocol, I'm about the same thing too, about expansion. I'm about, self-centered. I know a lot of people think that's a bad thing, when you're self-centered. Uh, I promote that, people, to revolve around, your inner self. Don't try to overstand or understand, don't try to overstand or understand, anything. Just uh revolve, around your understanding. You stand on what on what you stand for. Yeah, and expansion. I push expansion. Infinity. You know, I have these things in these little phrases. That I managed to put together. Uh, over time.
Where I say, everything is true, I always tell people, everybody, everything is true based on your point of view. So wherever you at with things, what you're thinking is true. You know, even the lie, you know what I'm saying, is true. So,
I think
and
there's great wisdom with that. And I'm one. I'm appreciative of you coming up the panel. Uh, I'm appreciative of your insight, definitely, and I think where you're concerned, there's a lot of wisdom, man. You express a lot of wisdom, and you've got a lot of insight that I think could benefit people. And I definitely, you know, give you props 100%. And you're more than welcome here. You're more than welcome to, put links to your channel here and know that you've been really received and appreciated.
yeah, salute to you, bro, and definitely appreciate you. I'm not on my laptop right now, so I don't know how to do that with my phone to put the link. But
Let me,
I'm always, in the chat. I'm pretty sure, the people probably going, eventually, find a way. The people that's interested. Just that's how we find each other for real. I see you on charge, you see me on charge, and how we are. We just talk building with each other. So natural
right,
things like
right.
that actually gonna happen. I'm not.
And
I know I got a
I,
message. I know it's important, but I don't try to, you know, uh, promote it, in a way, and I think, the little bit of people that's going to genuinely gravitate toward it, going to get it either way, along
no,
the
I
way.
think your message is very powerful. And I think that it holds a lot of ground. And I think that your message is a benefit. I think that people could benefit from the interpretation of your message and just the plain understanding of what you're representing. Pretty powerful.
Yeah, same to you too, bro. That's why I follow you too. You know what I'm saying? That's why I subscribe to you and listen to you for sure. The same to you. Basically everybody, around me, I see the same mindset. We basically got a similar message. We all pushing for expansion. You know, harmony. And peace. And knowledge and wisdom. Information. So yeah,
Yeah, you
that's
came
why.
at a auspicious time, and you delivered a message to me that I can resonate with and probably need to put to practice.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, about, people finding me, I think, things naturally happen that way. If I had conversation with a lot of people and end up, the same way, because, I think, those conversation were needed. Those conversation, uh was like to end of the same rope that just meet each other. It's like two pieces of a magnet that just, come together and they just snap together. So yeah, natural thing like that. So that's what I was saying about, people. I don't. That's why I know my message is important, but I don't try to promote it. Uh, like that, because I know, many, are called, but only a few, you know, uh,
Are
uh,
chosen.
are chosen. So I know the little bit of people that choose, to hear me out, they're going to hear me out, regardless, along the way. We're going to run each other, at the right time, you know, it will happen.
Right, right. And man, this has been a complete divergent stream as to what I was expecting, but it still held such relevancy to the situation in an abstract way that it was able to inspire me into a different frame of thinking. And I thank you for that, man. It's been a great stream.
Yeah, it's definitely been a great trip, and salute to you too, for setting up this fire for us to cook, and each of us get a plate, and share with the chat for sure. So yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Thank you for being here. I thank the chat for participating and those who are lurking and those in the future who run across this. This was a pivotal point in my platform, and this is the Naga King, and I suggest that you seek him out. His message is one of significance, and I'm just Axis Rattblood. And on that, I bid everyone all love and a very wonderful night.
until next time.
Absolutely.